André Rieu's life story begins long before he became known as the King of the Waltz. Born on October 1, 1949, in Maastricht, Netherlands, he grew up in a household where discipline was valued above love. His father, also named André, was a respected conductor who led orchestras with authority. But inside the walls of their home, that same authority turned into strictness and coldness. André was the third of 6 children, and as a boy, he rarely felt the warmth of affection. In later interviews, he admitted something heartbreaking. "My parents didn't love me." It was not spoken in anger but in quiet acceptance. His childhood home was filled with order, but never laughter. His mother focused on grades and skills, and she considered creativity to be a distraction rather than a gift. When teachers noticed his natural talent for music and praised him, it was often thrown back at him in the form of criticism at home. For young André, imagination was seen as weakness, not strength. Yet something shifted when he turned 5. He was introduced to his first violin teacher, a young woman who saw him differently. She encouraged him, not with strictness, but with kindness, allowing him to feel the freedom of music. For the first time, he discovered that the violin could be more than an instrument. It could be a lifeline. This gentle encouragement sparked something powerful within him. Other children played scales. André sought meaning in every note. That passion would carry him forward, even as it clashed with his father's vision for his future. As André grew older, his love for waltz music deepened. But it brought conflict with his father, who believed serious musicians should avoid such light-hearted styles. His father's criticism was harsh and often soul-crushing. He told André that he was wasting his time and even shouted, "I didn't raise you to play waltzes." Those words left deep scars, but they also gave André a determination to follow his own path. Around 1968, another important figure entered his life, Marjorie, the woman who would later become his wife. Their bond was immediate and strong, but once again, André's family did not support him. His mother openly rejected Marjorie and even told him to leave if he insisted on being with her. That same night, André walked out of his family home and never returned. His parents never came to his concerts, not even when he later filled entire stadiums. The applause of thousands of fans could not erase the silence of his family's absence. For years, André struggled with feelings of emptiness and admitted that he went through therapy to understand why his childhood had felt so hollow. Yet, while his family gave him rejection, music gave him acceptance. His violin became his safe place, his way of being heard and understood. And as he built a life with Marjorie, he also built the foundation for the orchestra that would one day change the face of classical music forever. By the late 1970s, André had already spent years in traditional orchestras, where performances were rigid and audiences often felt distant. But André believed music should be joyful, emotional, and alive. In 1978, he started his first small group, the Maastricht Salon Orchestra, made up of 12 musicians who shared his vision. They performed in small halls, at weddings, and even in border towns where audiences were not used to classical concerts. These early performances had no grandeur, no costumes, and no critics, only the shared experience of music. Behind the scenes, Marjorie was the steady force making everything possible. While André played, she handled the business, wrote arrangements, and made practical decisions. When André hesitated to take big risks, such as buying a castle that would later become their home, Marjorie encouraged him by saying, "Sell more records." She was not only his partner in life, but also the quiet architect of his career. In 1987, André took his vision further by founding the Johann Strauss Orchestra. With just 12 musicians, he dared to break away from classical traditions. Instead of wearing stiff black coats, the orchestra wore colorful outfits. Instead of silence and formality, their concerts were filled with joy, dancing, and laughter. Critics mocked them, calling it musical entertainment, rather than serious art, but audiences loved it. For the first time in decades, people were experiencing classical music not as a duty, but as a celebration. The turning point came in 1995 when André and his orchestra performed at the UEFA Champions League final in Vienna. In the middle of a football stadium, surrounded by thousands of passionate fans, they played the second waltz by Shostakovich. The effect was magical. Football supporters who had come for the match found themselves clapping, swaying, and even dancing to the music. It was as if classical music had suddenly become part of everyday life again. Almost overnight, André Rieu's orchestra climbed the music charts, reaching #1 in the Netherlands and staying there for 19 weeks. Soon, they were selling millions of records across Europe. Australia, in Melbourne, over 38,000 fans filled a stadium to watch him perform, and his DVDs dominated the charts, beating out pop legends like AC/DC and Pink. For audiences, André wasn't just offering concerts. He was offering hope, joy, and connection. Yet not everyone appreciated this success. Traditional conductors dismissed his work as musical pornography and claimed he was lowering the standards of classical music. But André was not trying to impress critics. He wanted families, grandparents, and children to feel welcome at his concerts. He once explained, "With us, you don't feel the solemn hush that drives people away." His mission was simple, but powerful, to give classical music back to the people. And while critics sneered, millions of fans embraced him with open hearts. Behind the glamour of sold-out tours, André faced personal struggles that almost ended his career. In 2010, at the age of 62, he suffered from a viral infection that attacked his inner ear. For a violinist, balance and stability are everything, and suddenly his world was spinning. He was bedridden for months, unable to perform, and forced to cancel entire tours. The man who had always stood strong on stage now found himself weak and vulnerable. Doctors told him to rest, but conventional treatments failed to bring relief. His world had collapsed into dizziness and confusion. Just when things seemed hopeless, a fan from Australia sent him a letter describing exercises that had helped him recover from the same illness. André followed the advice, and slowly, he regained his strength. When he finally returned to the stage, audiences cheered louder than ever. But he knew the truth. Although he was back, he was not the same. His body carried the memory of the illness, and he was more fragile than before. His management admitted that his inner ear would always remain a weak spot. It meant that every performance carried a risk. If the illness returned during a concert, it could be disastrous. Still, André refused to give up music. He understood that while illness had weakened him, music had the power to make him strong again. Illness was not the only challenge André faced. In 2016, tragedy struck when his dear friend and longtime orchestra member, Ruud Merckx, passed away unexpectedly during a tour. Ruud was more than just a musician to André. He was like a brother. The shock of his death was so overwhelming that André immediately cancelled several concerts in Nottingham, London, Birmingham, and Glasgow. It was not just an illness that stopped him this time, but grief that felt unbearable. The entire orchestra mourned as if they had lost a family member, because in many ways they had. When the concerts eventually resumed, the music carried a different weight. Each note was filled with emotion, a tribute to the bond that had been lost. Fans could feel the sorrow mixed with beauty in the performances. Yet even in grief, André found strength in his orchestra and his audience. He knew that continuing to play was the best way to honor his friend's memory. It was proof of his resilience, that even when struck by loss, music could still be a healing force. In March 2024, André's health faced another severe test during a series of concerts in Mexico City. The altitude, jet lag, and flu created a dangerous combination. After just 2 shows, he began suffering from fever, breathlessness, and exhaustion. Backstage, he confided to his wife Marjorie in a hushed phone call, "I don't want a first concert day like this ever again." The situation grew so serious that the remaining 4 concerts were cancelled, leaving over 40,000 fans disappointed and forcing 125 orchestra members to fly home. It was chaos both financially and emotionally. But out of this crisis came a change that would alter the course of André's career. His son, Pierre, stepped in as more than just a tour manager. He became his father's protector, slowing down the relentless pace of tours and ensuring that André's health came first. From that point onward, tours became shorter, with stricter schedules and better recovery time. For André, this adjustment was not a defeat, but a new way of living. It was a reminder that even legends must take care of themselves if they wish to continue sharing their gift with the world. By the summer of 2024, fans noticed a transformation. André was still performing, but his concerts had a gentler pace. Medical clearances, oxygen backstage, and carefully timed rehearsals became part of his routine. His son Pierre enforced rules like limiting encore performances and ensuring rest periods, treating them with the same seriousness as musical instructions. On stage, André began rearranging pieces to reduce the physical strain. Instead of pushing through long, intense numbers, he leaned toward softer ballads and waltzes. Fans embraced this change, often without realizing it was also a strategy to protect his health. At home in Maastricht, André found peace in his garden and stone streets, spending more time resting and rehearsing privately rather than endlessly touring. When he returned to the stage after illness, the applause carried a different sound. It was not only admiration but relief. Audiences were grateful just to see him there, smiling, and playing his violin once again. He had become more human, more relatable, and perhaps more unforgettable than ever before. Today, at 75 years old, André Rieu continues to inspire millions around the world. His life has been a journey of hardship, triumph, loss, and resilience. From a childhood without love to becoming one of the most beloved musicians of our time, his story is one of determination and passion. He has faced illness, grief, and exhaustion, yet he has always returned to the stage, carrying with him not only his violin, but also the weight of his experiences. His son Pierre now stands beside him, ensuring that his legacy continues without destroying his health. And while André may not perform with the same endless stamina he once had, he has gained something even greater: the wisdom to balance his music with care for himself. For his fans, his concerts are more than entertainment. They are a celebration of life, love, and the power of music to heal. André Rieu has shown the world that even in moments of collapse, one can rise again. Not weaker, but stronger and more human. That is what really happened to André Rieu, a man who turned pain into melody and struggle into timeless beauty. One of the most unique parts of André Rieu's story is the bond he has created with his audience across the world. Unlike many classical musicians who often feel distant and formal, André has always believed that music should bring people together. His concerts are not just about notes and instruments. They are experiences filled with joy, laughter, and even tears. Fans often describe his performances as magical nights, where the stress of daily life disappears. Entire families attend together, grandparents, parents, and children, proving that his music crosses generations. André has often said that the most rewarding part of his career is not the money or fame, but the letters he receives from people who share how his music helped them through grief, illness, or loneliness. For example, many cancer patients have written to him saying that watching his DVDs gave them strength during treatment. Soldiers recovering from trauma have shared that his music brought them comfort when words could not. These personal stories are what drive him to keep performing even when his health makes it difficult. In many ways, André does not see his fans as just an audience, but as a global family connected by melody. This deep connection explains why his concerts sell out year after year, and why his fans remain loyal even when he has to cancel shows due to illness. They are not only buying tickets to hear music, they are showing up to share a human experience with someone who has touched their lives. Looking at André Rieu's life and career today, it is clear that his influence goes far beyond his own concerts. He has changed how the world views classical music. Before him, many believed waltzes and orchestral performances belonged only in opera houses or concert halls for the elite. André broke that barrier by bringing music into stadiums, open-air venues, and even football matches. proving that classical melodies can bring joy to everyone. His Johann Strauss Orchestra has become not just a group of musicians, but a symbol of joy, resilience, and togetherness. Younger musicians now see him as proof that tradition and creativity can blend beautifully. Beyond the stage, his family, especially his son Pierre, will carry on his work. Pierre has already taken on the role of protector and manager, ensuring that the legacy will not disappear even when André decides to slow down or step away completely. His influence also lives on in millions of recordings, DVDs, and online performances that continue to inspire new generations who may never see him live, but will still feel the emotion of his music. André Rieu's legacy is not just about being the king of the waltz. It is about being a man who, despite illness, grief, and criticism, never gave up on sharing joy. His life reminds us that music is not about perfection. It is about connection, healing, and hope. Long after he leaves the stage for the final time, the echoes of his violin will continue to dance in the hearts of millions around the world.